Michaels mentioned at the top of the show, the Lakers had an NBA Cares event in Shanghai canceled. The event to benefit the Special Olympics was canceled Wednesday, just hours before it was scheduled to begin, adding to the fallout from a now deleted tweet from Rockets general manager Daryl Morey that showed support for protesters in Hong Kong. The NBA would only say that calling off the event was not its decision. Adam Silver spoke out in defense of Daryl Morey's freedom of speech and received praise from Greg Popovich and Doc Rivers for doing so. Let's take a listen.
Freedom of speech, I felt great again. He's been a heck of a leader in that respect and very courageous. And when you compare it to what we've had to live through the last 3 years, there's a big difference, big gap there, leadership-wise and courage-wise. And it wasn't easy for him to say. He said that in an environment fraught with possible economic peril. But he sided with the principles that we all hold dearly. You know, we've all talked about or heard about all the questions that all the talking heads have and everybody for the last 3 years. What kind of country do we want to be? Who are we? Where do we want to go? That sort of thing. Adam said something that helps you understand what direction you need to go in, rather than the cowardice of not being able to respond to something like the murder of Mr. Khashoggi. And there are many, many incidents like that where it's leadership and courage mean nothing. It's all about personal aggrandizement. So I was thrilled.
I can disagree with everything you say. I have the right to do that. And I have the right to say so, you know? And that's good. That's good. That's what this country is about, freedom of speech. And we should always have freedom of speech.
So, I mean, what's your reaction to how the league has handled this delicate matter so far?
Yeah, I mean, the initial statement kind of was a little toothless, and I think they felt that pressure from people kind of reacting. So you see in the second statement they put out, and then in the press conference that he had, and then in the media availability that Commissioner Silver had, they gave it a little bit more definition. This is the deal. It's easy to sit on your couch and tweet, oh, the NBA, da-da-da, but the reality is you do have a business relationship with an entity that does not have the same values and beliefs that we do in this country. That's just reality. And so some of this is going to be, how do I stay true to our values, as you see, you know, when he's talking about supporting Daryl's right to say what he wants to say, while still not alienating and offending someone that you have a business relationship with, because that's the reality. This isn't just some dude that you have no connection with. And the thing that's crazy for me is a lot of people criticizing the NBA, criticizing Adam Silver about this. They're doing it while tweeting from iPhones that are made in China, while wearing Nike products or Adidas products that are made in China. There's a lot of stuff that we have in this country beyond basketball that has a very strong business relationship, including some of our defense contractors, some of the parts that we make that are used to make weapons in this country for our national defense, use Chinese parts. So this isn't a uniquely NBA thing. And I think Adam Silver is doing the best job he can of being respectful to the Chinese government because of that relationship, while at the same time standing true with what we stand for in this country.
This is bigger than basketball at this point. I think this is something that is beyond the scope. These players wanted to go out there and play basketball and entertain and give China a great show, because that's what basketball does, and it's obviously passed beyond that. I think what Daryl Morey said, there's not too many people that disagree. I just think it was bad timing. Life is about timing, you know what I mean? So you have to kind of fall back and understand the timing was wrong, but I completely agree with Silver. You know, it's a steep hill. It's a very delicate situation. So this is something where, do you continue just allow everything to be canceled and kind of be at their mercy, or do we just agree to disagree and understand that with everything going on, let's just pull back, let's try to resolve this, but let's try to move on, because I think time heals everything.
Well, and I think we'll find that out pretty soon here. But to piggyback just off what you guys are saying, look, I feel like I bring a different perspective to this. And I mean, you can as well, because of where your family is from. Yeah. You're from the Sudan. My family's from Cuba. They fled a communist country, a communist regime. And to your point, Amin, they don't play by the same rules that we do. They have different political, ideological, and philosophical beliefs that are deeply rooted for many, many years. And I don't think that, and Adam Silver kind of said this yesterday in Kyoto, at the Kyoto News Conference, which is, it's not necessarily on the NBA to try to change the philosophical, ideological, and political beliefs of another country. It is important for him to stand by Daryl Morey, which he's now done twice since. And I think that the reality is that people need to understand that you're not going to change the way China thinks. And because of that, I think that your point, Amin, is that pretty much every Fortune 500 company in the United States and abroad even works with China, right? And I think that China has a unique situation because they're not only a communist country, but a communist country that has economic power over other countries. And that's just a lot to digest. And it doesn't mean that if you say this, that you're anti-American or that you don't believe in free speech. Those things aren't mutually exclusive. We can apply those rules to us here in the United States because those are our core beliefs, but they're not theirs. And I think that is the challenge in trying to express those sentiments.
George, I've told this story on my podcast before. When I came back to the United States after living in Sudan for 6 years, I was in the airport and the passport control guys were joking about what they're going to do with their tax refunds. I said, I don't know. I didn't get one this year because Uncle Billy didn't give us one. And I realized they're talking about Bill Clinton. And I really thought that there were going to be secret police going to come in, grab these people, and drag them away because in Sudan or in totalitarian countries, the airport is like the most, hot place. You can't say whatever. So it's a perspective. I think a lot of people criticizing Adam Silver, they don't really understand what he's up against.
The depth of what it is that's going on, that goes on in that country.
Again, it's not something superficial that you can cancel culture someone on Twitter with. This goes a lot deeper than that.
Yeah, and again, it doesn't mean that anyone that is trying to explain this situation, this is not condoning China's behavior, this is explaining the behavior and also understanding that there are two separate issues, whether you, like us, we all believe in the core beliefs of this country, the United States of America, the greatest country in the world, in my estimation, and that is freedom of speech, amongst many other core beliefs that we have. But we're not changing their beliefs.
Not overnight. Not over a tweet from a general manager.
Correct.
Like, that's not going to be the one.
Correct. So, again, mutually exclusive. And look, there's going to be a lot more in this saga, obviously, as it continues to unfold. This just in, Chinese brand Anta has released a statement on the social media site Weibo that it will not continue contract renewal negotiations with the NBA in this continued fallout from this particular issue. Anta has deals with several high-profile players, including Klay Thompson and Gordon Hayward. Matt, what's your reaction to this?
This is just a fallout. Like I said, it's bigger than basketball right now. I think the best thing for players to do is kind of just continue to keep their stance. They don't know enough about it because there's too much going on for people to really start commenting uneducatedly on this situation.
Yeah, I think it's also representative of China's basically imperative that they can pull the plug on everything.
Power.
Right.
Like we don't need any of this, right?
They are flexing. That's a great way to do it. Yes. Economically, they can do that. They're the unique communist superpower that can pull that off.
The whole thing is, what if they go through with this game and they have, like I said, I think time heals everything. But what if they have this game tomorrow and no one comes? Or it's just a horrible look. You know what I mean? So to me, it's Stephen A. Smith mentioned this morning. Maybe we should just pull back. The vibe, the energy is off right now. So let's just practices are getting canceled, the events are getting canceled. Let's just agree to disagree, and hopefully we can handle this, a different way and revisit it possibly next summer returning to China.
We heard Rachel earlier in the show talk about usually it's hundreds of these fans around.
Now it's dozens.
2 dozens.
And people covering their faces when the NBA entertainment cameras are coming around.
And by the way, think about how deep in the cause you have to be to cancel a Special Olympics event.
Right.
Like an event that would benefit special. You would think that would be like, guys, we have our differences, but this is something else.
All right, more on the jump here as we continue here on ESPN.